Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 7 of the ACS League. Today, you've already seen Revenge go head to head against Lucendi, and that was an absolute thrill of a matchup. But we've got one more coming up for you now with UX Gaming battling it out against Enclave. My name is Dino, and I'm joined today by Two Doors making his ACS debut. How do you feel today, man?
I've got to say that I am pretty stoked to be here, and it's definitely nice to get to work with much more experienced casters than myself. I've personally been casting since the start of February and slowly but surely making my way up in the semi-pro Siege community as well, but it's always a pleasure to meet new faces and definitely expand my network. And I've got to say that even though it is my first time casting for ACS, it is definitely a privilege to be able to get to cast with you today.
Well, I'm sure it'll be a pleasure to cast alongside you as well. And as you can see on your screen, just underneath the schedule, the map band. So we'll see what we'll be playing on today. We've come up, we've got Consulate and Villa being the picks. Consulate picked by UX. So that's going to put Enclave, they're choosing to start on defense, and then Villa being picked by Enclave with UX starting on defense. How do you feel about those two maps? Consulate generally seem to be a bit 50-50, not quite fully attacker-sided, not quite fully defender-sided.
No, not really. So far from what I've seen in terms of consulate plays in semi-pro matches as well as just live playing on ranked, it is a map that is heavily dependent on the positions of the operators. And that goes for both the attacker sides as well as the defensive squads. Primarily on the top floor defense, you don't really have all that much wiggling room in terms of when you're actually playing on the defensive side. You have to be very wary of where exactly you're located and how to properly respond to the defensive side. As far as it goes for the other bomb side, specifically the basement, that one's it's a completely utterly different playstyle than what we're used to seeing on the top floor.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see on your screen just there, we've got the UX lineup. Looking at the in-game lobby, though, Pangoro has been switched out for XD Guru. Unsure if that's the same player with a name change or if that is just a new player coming in for today's matchup. But the remaining members, Lucania, Rabinshu, Wontepek, and Christ, are all still the same. As we look on over at Enclave's lineup, which has been consistent for a while now, we've got Access, Thor, Manacrypt, Razuko, and Snubster. So you've already talked about Consulate. The second map is going to be Villa. We know Villa's heavily defender-sided, but
Yeah.
I mean, going off of what you might expect to see coming through from Consulate, do you see much carryover onto Villa if the attacks are really strong on Consulate?
Well, it's really tough to pinpoint exactly how both of the maps can actually fluctuate. Personally, from my experiences, I've noticed that Villa, even though it's an extremely defender-sided matchup overall, it tends to play itself out similar to Coastline in a way, in the sense that both Coastline and Villa, they are extremely reliant on the operator bans that are being brought out.
Yeah, and speaking of operator bans, we're getting started on the Consulate ones. Enclave, as the defending first, get to take out the first attacker. Generally, you tend to see something like a Thatcher, Thermite, Maverick go away, but no, it's going to be a Hibana this time, electing to go for the more versatile of the Hard Breach, the long-range capability, and, well, 3 different X-Kairos pellets are going to be off the board. That will certainly make attacking the top floor a lot more difficult, as that is generally when you tend to see Hibana shine on this map.
Yeah,
UX, looking at their operator ban for attack.
I got my
That
money. Okay, it's Thatcher. That's not necessarily unorthodox, relatively predictable. I guess that the majority of players and teams that I've seen up until right now, Thatcher is usually their go-to ban, and he's pretty much sitting up there with a ban rate of, I guess you can say above 80%, but Pulse, that is quite an oddity to say the least.
Yeah, not normally an operator see banned out. I mean, Constant is like the one map where you don't see Mirror get banned, which does give you a little bit of freedom, and it will force Enclave to either ban out that Echo or that Maestro, and then we see Echo get taken
Echo,
away.
yeah.
A Pulse off the board, though, that's really interesting.
It's extremely bizarre. I mean, to a certain degree, it actually does make a tiny bit of sense because it's entirely possible that Enclave, they just either don't need a pulse to properly defend the sites, or they are just trying to play some mind games with their opponents. It might be possible that that Enclave or excuse me, that UX Gaming, that they're heavily reliant on Pulse in actually properly defending the top floor. And it's not just that. Even when you're visiting other sites, such as the lobby, for example, or the fourth site, the tellers, as well as the archives, because Pulse has the capability to use his heartbeat scanner through vertical surfaces, he can gather tons of information in real time. And I'm pretty sure that they are looking to hinder that ability on the attacker side.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused
Well,
by
the attackers
attackers.
are doing a good job of hindering themselves for the time being, as they haven't brought out a Maverick, generally seen as one of the must-take operators when you want to attack that garage wall, especially when we see as Thatcher ban. Admittedly, Enclave, they've only brought the mute, so that is slightly easier to deal with if you're able to get an IQ inside of Piano, but Piano, one of the most heavily contested places on the map, as we see Thor setting up his ADSs, that implies that we're at least going to see someone sitting inside of the bathroom to prevent that immediate Piano take, and with Snubs actually castle barricading off the main lobby door, this is going to be quite an extended roam.
Yeah, we don't usually see bathroom holds all that often, to be honest. And
Defuse a bomb.
the dynamic between the attackers pushing in throughout Piano and the, I guess you could call it a lurker inside of bathroom, it's extremely interesting because you always have to make sure that you have at least one body that is watching at least one of the potential runouts in case if somebody wants to just go for a wide peek from inside of bathroom. But at the same time, you can always choose to ignore that bathroom player and just do your due diligence by getting rid of those verticality. But it's going to be KRS to remove Thor from play. That's the opening frag coming out for UX. They've managed to establish themselves a rather nice beachhead, to say the least, by removing the Jaeger from play.
Yeah, 45 seconds in, they've got complete top floor control and a man advantage. Thor not landing any damage on Chris. It's going to make holding that bathroom a bit more difficult. Admittedly, the floor directly above the bathroom is indestructible, so if you can position yourself carefully, you're able to remain safe. But it does make holding the rest of that middle floor a bit untenable.
Usually what we see in terms of attack, just in terms of attack strategies altogether, usually when there's a bathroom hold, it's always nice to bring yourself a Hibana at the same time so you can line up a pair of those X-Cars pellets on the north side of the bathroom wall so you can gain yourself extra angles when you're looking down into the hatch. But naturally that won't be the case, and I'm curious to see if Robin will actually opt to use one of his exothermic charges to create extra lines of sight, or if he'll primarily use both of those on the garage panels.
Interesting that they reinforced all three walls of bathroom. Typically, at least one of those is left soft to provide the player inside the bathroom an angle into Piano. That's not going to be the case. And Access, a bit of a hell in the cell environment at the moment. Going to wait for them to force their way on into him. But it has meant that Chris was able to open up the floor in complete safety and will allow Rabinchu to detonate those exothermic charges as the mute jammer is gone. So that's a lot of control given for UX, and Enclave, they're all sitting down in their anchor positions just waiting for this final push to come through.
UX are tasked with getting the diffuser down, and One Tep is brilliantly positioned right now because he is pushing from the surface staircase, and he will establish a couple of angles and give his opponents far less room to move around. Rizoku with the refrag, but One Tep is there to respond. Lucania, one more onto Access for himself, leaving UX in a 4v2 situation, and Enclave, they find themselves in dire straits as the diffuser starts to go down. But what is this? Snubster, he will actually take advantage of it and deny the diffuse, but it's Chris in response to shut him down. And just like that, UX, despite a couple of flaws, they will walk away with the first round on the consulate matchup.
Yeah, that Nomad air jab almost propelling the Enclave player right into a free round win, able to take out the planter. If that super shorty shotgun had done a little bit more damage, well, that round was more than certainly going the other way. But Chris able to finish it off. Cleaning up the round, getting a double kill in total. One tap Heck as well, chiming in with 2. And that was quite a comfortable round. It didn't really seem like there was much pushback against what UX were doing. They were quite happy to trade bodies when it got down to that final gunfight.
Attackers need to locate
Yeah, I
and
can
defuse
definitely
as many
agree with that,
bombs
but
as
at
they
the same
can.
time, they were in very awkward positions and they didn't necessarily have all that much opportunity to properly respond to UX's aggression. Naturally, we did see a lot of attempts to stabilize the man count coming out from Enclave, but they were just leaving themselves far too exposed in the case that they actually wanted to restabilize things for themselves, and I think that that was going to be their primary downfall in on that defensive site.
Yeah.
10
But
seconds
they're
to
not
go.
going to go back downstairs just yet. They're electing to rotate on up to the top
5
floor.
seconds left.
Zuko on the dock, it does give you a lot of potential for those long-range picks. I doubt we'll see any spawn peeks go on, but it also, his positioning means that he can assist Manacrypt smoke at the top of the yellow stairs with stims, so that can remain in that position a little bit longer when the frag nades start flying.
The one thing that I'm really curious about is Snupster. He chooses to don the Kaid this time around, but
Bomb
where
located by
exactly
attackers.
could you purpose those Electroclaws on the top floor?
I reckon it would be just behind him on those meeting panel walls. Generally, you see a Hibana open them up from inside of Office Printer Room, where we see XD Guru already. The amount of aggression coming through from UX, they're taking all the ground that Enclave is giving them just so quickly within the first 30 seconds already this far into the map.
That is absolutely true. It is usually extremely difficult for the attackers to take control of the west side of the building, specifically that CEO portion of the map, but it is much easier to actually gain control of admin, and they were definitely rather quick to jump to the trigger, and as of right now, they've managed to gain themselves a lot of intel on the exact positions of the defenders. C4 will come out, but it sadly won't connect at all, and XD Guru will manage to get away with his life.
Oh, that looked like it landed right next to him, but I guess not. As you mentioned, able to escape with his life, but Chris is going to be the first one to fall. Access on the Valkyrie, getting a nice headshot, dropping the Ash, who was so influential in the previous round. Gonna be designated onto drone duty from here on out.
So, as things stand right now, UX, they're looking to apply a lot of heavy pressure on the long desk side of things, and it's going to be extremely difficult for Enclave to contest that portion of the map. The one slight oversight that they might have is trying to remove that potential meeting room panel. Robin Shu could potentially go for an exothermic charge onto there, but that involves exposing yourself quite a lot. But as things stand right now, Enclave, they do have the man advantage, and there's 50 seconds left for them to burn. Snupster coming up the spiral staircase, looking to grab an angle onto Guru, but he will go down. Robin Shoe with the refrag onto Snupster as well. But they, unfortunately, are in the passenger seat.
2 versus 4, make that 2 versus 3. Lucania, what a shot! Takes the head off of Rizuko, but Manacrypt trades him out immediately. Now it's all left up to Robinshu. 1 versus 3, doesn't get past the first, the SMG-11, and Manacrypt going to collect the very first round for Enclave in round number 2 of Consulate.
That was a mad shot from Lucania.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Holy moly.
But
my.
it really didn't look like UX. They had that downstairs attack basically covered, but when it came to the upstairs, all Enclave needs to do was just sit there and wait, and UX just walked into their crosshairs time and time again.
I'm struggling to pinpoint exactly what was UX's fault in that particular round. It could have potentially been a complete lack of information and droning altogether, and the fact was that they just got a tiny bit too overconfident with challenging their opponents. Usually I like to say that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer, and UX, they're going to have to take a proper look at themselves in the mirror and figure out exactly how to better themselves moving into this next round. But as we are moving back downstairs to the basement side, they did have a whopping amount of success last time around, and they are looking to continue that momentum for themselves. Enclave, on the other hand, they're going to be employing a rather similar strategy altogether with top floor presence, as well as overextending themselves into the first floor bathroom.
Yeah, the key difference though is that they won't be reliant on the castle. Instead, Snubster will have switched on over to the Wamai.
5 seconds
interesting to
remaining.
see how that's going to play out for them. They're actually investing a little bit more utility all the way up
Attacker's
to the
objective
top
is to
floor,
defuse
where
the
my
bomb.
shield going down close to bathroom. And probably we'll see Snubs to play relatively close by. But for the time being, it's only going to be Thor on the top floor. We saw how well that worked out for him last time.
Yeah. Usually, when you're off roaming by yourself on the top floor without having a teammate to back you up or get a potential refrag onto you, you do kind of throw yourself into an immediate suicide mission. As we can see right now, Thor is starting to get heavily pressured from all across the top floor. And just like that, 35 seconds in, XD Guru with the opening frag will swiftly remove him from play. And they've managed to gain themselves an early advantage, and now they can take their sweet time to just locate the remaining defenders.
Yeah, and just UX having absolutely no issue dealing with that top floor roam. Snubster smartly going to rotate back downstairs over towards the servers just to make sure that they don't lose man advantage, or it's not so heavily one-sided in favor of UX. It will take them a little bit longer to get a two-man advantage.
Reload!
That's a lot of utility invested upstairs. ADS, shield, 2 players to just give it up so quickly. Snubster, though, going to trade out Lucania. It's going to be the Nomad gone. I don't know if she was able to put down all of her air jabs. Definitely heard one go off just then. So a nice trade back, losing a Nomad for a Jaeger does slightly bode in Enclave's favor.
So we just noticed that Snubster will have to retreat from the teller's office because he just got droned out, meaning that UX is definitely on his tail. But we do kind of find ourselves in a little bit of a stalemate right now as the attacking squad, they are looking to come up with a new attacking-sided plan. Fortunately, up until right now, they don't necessarily have all that much momentum, and they have yet to deal with access inside of the bathroom stalls. He is going to be the one defender that they need to dislodge in case if they actually want to get a proper execute going for themselves. But as we hear from afar, the exothermic charges will successfully go off. And the garage panels, they are now accessible as well.
Razuko on the Maestro, using his cam position underneath the white van to gain as much info as possible. Access got aggressive outside of bathroom, gets his head taken off immediately by one tap as soon as he checks the angle. Chris follows up with a kill onto Razuko, and now it's on 2 versus 4 for Enclave. Make that 1 versus 4. Chris unstoppable. Manacrypt, the last player left alive. He ends Chris' reign of terror as Rabinshu's getting the plant down, the Nomad stun. Gonna alert them to his position. The smoke canister goes out. It's too late. 1 versus 3. There's a little bit of damage onto one tap Heck, but this is basically gonna be it for him. No chance. 35 seconds left on the fuse timer. Very low HP.
He is practically stuck in a single corner right now. UX has rather perfected their post-plant positioning right now, and they will not allow the last remaining defender, the smoke, to gain any more ground or to even move a muscle. Despite his best efforts, it was simply not enough, and Enclave, they definitely have to change up the formula when they're going next to the garage and basement side. I think that the main pivot point in that entire matchup, or that entire round, so to speak, was the fact that Thor is constantly being sent on a roam without any assistance, and he just gets immediately caught out relatively early within the rounds, and he just basically isn't able to waste any time and dies without having any kind of impact towards their overall defensive strategy.
Yeah, Thor is one of the players that you expect from Enclave to frag out a little bit more, to be sitting closer to the top of the scoreboard, and he's currently sitting on a goose egg, no kills to his name. It's not looking too good for them, whereas when we look over at UX side of things, both Chris and one tap Heck sitting on 4 kills already through 3 rounds.
I've never heard the expression goose egg. Usually I just call them a donut.
Oh, well... Potato, potato.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But goose egg, that's the first time I've heard that one, and it's definitely kind of made my day, to say the least.
I mean, you gotta mix it up.
Yeah.
Everyone says donut, you gotta mix it up. So, goose egg, that's what I'm gonna go with.
It's pretty nice, but back into the round, UX, they are going to swiftly start taking control of the east side of the building, and they will have to gather enough information to determine exactly where the defenders are located. As we can see right now, there is a heavy top floor presence right now. Snubster as well as Thor, they are tasked with keeping the attackers at bay, but let's hope that they don't run into the same wall as they actually have done so in the previous rounds. Snubster all on his lonesome. He will start getting pressured momentarily by the attackers who have since taken control of that side, but a beautiful shot to shut down the Zofia and Enclave. They have now regained the man advantage by basically getting the opening frag. That's definitely a great start for them, to say the least.
Yeah, Enclave been struggling to get that opening frag, but Snubster manages to do it with relative ease, swinging the corner, takes the head off of the XD Guru, but Thor and Snubster are both elected to leave the top floor, so it's going to be complete control for UX. They might struggle to find that out if the mute jammers are positioned appropriately, but it's going to be a gradual takeover for UX.
Sooner or later, they're going to have to indeed realize that there aren't any defenders on the top floor exerting any pressure. But as we approach the halfway mark of the round, UX, they are struggling and contemplating with their next step. They have realized just now that the top floor is indeed clear, and they will slowly have to start ingressing towards the lobby and the piano room. But they have to start using that verticality to their advantage, and to kick things off, it'll be Robin's shoot to just remove the meeting room hatch.
It's going to provide nicer angles and a potential drop down into the lobby, so going to provide them with a little access to go for a plan if they so choose to. Access sitting by middle spiral is going to have a nice long angle if they do just elect to drop erroneously. In fact, he elects to give up that position almost immediately as I say that, Caster's Curse shining through. But UX are spending a lot of time without getting much from it. 35 seconds left in the round, and Snubs is going to collect the second kill.
Yeah, that is definitely going to bode well for themselves. But UX, they have 25 seconds left to execute onto site, and they have little to no actual real estate aside from the top floor. They have sent Robin Shu outside of the main entrance, but the Toxic Babes will start to rain in, preventing him from moving in. Brilliant shot from Chris, but he will sadly not make it a double because Access is there. Finger ready on the trigger. Robin Shu will actually go down to the toxic gas itself before One Tep decides to drop down the spiral staircase, and it's Rizoku there with the response. And I tell you, Dino, there is sometimes nothing you can do against that 80 round Alda.
Yeah, one of the more fearsome weapons in the game, but I just want to highlight that was quite a comfortable defense from Enclave for a lobby room hold, which is generally considered to be the tertiary site, the one that you don't want to defend because you're most likely to lose it. But Enclave, they've really struggled to defend Garage and have had comparative relative ease defending the top floor and middle floor site.
That's, well, there's no doubt about that. 100% true right now. And I just had something on the tip of my tongue, but I seem to have lost it.
Was it that you want all the people at home to go and tweet out using hashtag ACS League their opinions, their thoughts, their feelings about the games that we've got going on at the moment?
That's what it was. Thank you for reminding me. No, but what I actually, now it came back to me. Enclave, the fact that they managed to get a defensive round under their belt, despite having to go to the lobby and piano site, means that they have effectively thrown UX just a tad bit off their heels. They threw a wild card into the mix-up. They managed to rise victorious from said strategy and play all together, and now I feel like they have potentially re-establish themselves as being in the driver's seat, despite the fact that we find ourselves at an even score line.
Yeah, Enclave, I'd hazard a guess that they might have the edge on this map. It was UX's pick. Enclave just seeming very comfortable on their defenses. Of course, that could all switch up when we switch over the halves, and UX will be defending. For all we know, UX could be the single best team we've ever seen when it comes to defending Consulate.
No, that's entirely true, but as we have completed an entire and just overall site rotation, Enclave are going to opt to go back to the top floor since they have been having quite a lot of luck with defending this side and quite a lot of success as well. But UX, at the same time, they are not going to waste a minute as they take control of admin extremely fast. And we can also see that Chris, he's taken up a position inside of Visa's staircase, which is, or actually inside of Visa/Tellers. And he will slowly start to make his way towards the spiral staircase, and he might potentially start hunting down Access, who is hidden inside of the bathroom.
It's definitely going to be a priority for UX to get rid of that Valkyrie on the middle floor, that C4. If they're able to stay alive until the end of the round, more than likely going to be able to prevent a plant. Droning coming through from Lucania does spot out Access. Carefully checks all of the bathroom stalls, but for the moment, most of the pressure is going to be distributed onto the top floor. Chris actually using both of his breaching rounds to try and force Snubster out of his position, just missing the player at the top of his screen in one of those holes. But Snubster gonna have a hard time holding onto this position with all the holes in the floor and the pressure coming through from all angles.
We have 70 seconds left on the clock, and we have yet to see a single frag come out from either squad, but we will have to see a play come out from the attacking squad rather quickly. I believe that if they are able to remove Access from his position and potentially even snag his head in the process, that'll put Enclave on the back foot, because that is, keep in mind, the only C4 that they actually have on the table right now. But as we can see, they are lined up over by the Visa staircase, and there comes the push. One tap with the shot onto, I believe that was Snubster. Two more frags coming out, and now UX, they will definitely gain themselves an advantage, as Chris will also remove Moncrypt from play. They are now in a 4v2 situation, and the diffuser has successfully gone down. Access with the response onto Chris will deal with the Ash rather swiftly, but this is going to be difficult for Enclave to recover from. As I say that, a double kill for Access, and they now find themselves on an even playing field. The only issue is that UX, they have the proper post-plant positioning in their favor.
Both players outside on that A balcony, it's almost impossible to deal with, but Thor's going to attempt to stick the plant. All the stuns coming through. Thor gets right back onto the plant. Access is holding the jump in. His bullets don't do enough damage in time. He's able to down one, but Rabinshu collects the double kill. UX wins the round.
I was starting to get a tad bit scared and frightened from how that was going to actually play out. The fact that Thor, he would not deviate from that counter diffuse. He stuck it to the best of his abilities, and he also came rather close. It's just a bit unfortunate that Access wasn't able to properly land the shots onto both attackers as they simultaneously swung in to deny the counter diffuse.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it does appear that players are experiencing some survey issues. I don't think it's cause for a rehost just yet, but it might explain why we did see a little bit of a lag go on during that previous round as the retake was starting to take shape. We will continue to march forwards, and as we look at this final round coming through from Enclave's defense, they're electing to go back up to that top floor. And let's see if they're able to adjust from the mistakes they exhibited in the previous round.
Well, the number one thing that is that you should notice by now is the fact that Rizoku will be bringing out the Maestro this time around, and I feel like this may just be the silver bullet that Enclave need in order to close off the first half. An even scoreline of 3-3. They don't want to find themselves on the back foot by ending off the first half with a 4-2 split. Naturally, for UX, that is exactly what they are hoping to accomplish in this round number 6.
Absolutely. Bear in mind, there is no overtime, so if this goes 3-3 and then it goes 3-3 yet again on the second half, that will be it. The game will end at 6-6. So all these rounds count so much more. The potential for a comeback is that much less. Having Rizuko, as you mentioned, switch onto the Maestro, his job is to hold down that Visa top visa stairs doorway rush into meeting. He wasn't able to successfully do it as the Doc. The MP5 only got 31 bullets and a relatively low amount of damage. So essentially with that Alder, 81 bullets, high damage, high rate of fire, should be able to mow them down if they like to go for it once again.
I'm kind of struggling to piece together exactly what UX are planning to do right now, because they have managed to establish themselves a lot of positions, specifically on the west side of the building. They currently have 2 men over on the outside of yellow, and Access will narrowly manage to catch Chris out. He will put him on very low HP, but he will get away with his life, and XD Guru with the opening frag onto Thor as well. Sadly for the Jaeger, he will be the opening death once again in this matchup, but Enclave, they now have the man disadvantage. 2 whole bodies are off the table for their side, and as Moncrib struggles to stabilize things out for his team, he will be unable to grab the shots onto the Sophia. Meanwhile, Access will shut down Chris. It's about time he did that, and Lucania from the connector repel will shut down the smoke, and now those toxic babes have gone to waste.
And, well, finally, that Sophia on yellow stairs gets taken down. Snubster down to low HP as well. One player's already decided to beat sight. So this hole has been opened up. I'm not going to be able to spot them out, and they're actually going to go for A control and potentially even an A plant. Revenge the man with the diffuser. Oh my god, Access with the wall bang. Spam step through and takes the head off of Revenge. The diffuser has been down. Since been recovered. It's going to be Lucania going for the plant this time, close inside of the B bomb site. Looks like it will be successful.
This is really difficult for Enclave to deal with, because they have actually lost their C4 altogether. But as I am digressing away from the overall general lines of the matchup, 2 frags will start to come out, leaving Snubster in a 1v1 situation, although it's very fortunate for him that One Tep is relatively far from home. As the push starts to come in, that skeleton key will be used accordingly, but he is quick to react, and he will shut down Snubster. That was getting a bit too iffy for my taste, to say the least, but UX, they will close off the first half successfully with the 4-2 split, and now the turns have tabled, or the tables have turned. I just like saying it the other way around.
It is always more fun to say it the other way around, in my opinion. But
yeah,
one thing I want to highlight from that entire half is that Thor was unable to get a kill all throughout. He's really been struggling, and as I mentioned, he's one of those players you expect to be sitting towards the top of the scoreboard alongside Snubster. And, well, to see him all the way at the bottom, it's nice that Access has shown up and has also managed to collect 7 kills alongside Snubster, but it doesn't bode well unless we're going to see Thor have a miraculous switch up moving on to the second half with Enclave on attack.
I think it's entirely possible we see that, because he is being placed on the role as the entry frag, and that's relatively clear by the fact that he's actually tasked with bringing out the Ash this time around. But he has to make sure that he definitely takes a couple of deep breaths and before he actually chooses to engage one of the defenders, because if he is going to go down just as easily as he has been going down the 6 previous rounds, it's going to be relatively difficult for Enclave to actually swing themselves back into this matchup.
10 seconds to insertion.
Yeah. Siege, as we say so often, is a team game. You need all 5 players operating at maximum capacity to be able to have a real chance of winning in quite a lot of situations. Both these teams, very good standard of play coming out from both of them, but with UX, all 5 of their members have shown up so far, and unfortunately for Enclave, we've only had 4 players step to the table. Hopefully with this switch, Thor moving on to Ash, he gets into the right mindset, as he will be the one making those aggressive peaks instead of getting caught out by them.
I hope that'll definitely be the case, but as things stand right now, Enclave, they're going to set up shop on the west side of the building before just refocusing their interest elsewhere, but they are taking an extremely slow approach to this top floor take right now. They are doing their absolute best to establish favorable positions, as well as grab as much intel as possible, but as I said before, things are developing extremely slowly, and Enclave, they will definitely have to pick up the pace at a certain point so they don't fall too far behind.
It's a difficult task to attack those white stairs with the Jaeger and Wamai combo. You need to burn through that utility as quickly as possible. The longer you leave it, the more utility you need to use due to the replenishing nature of Wamai's gadget. Here we see another one of those discs go off, and that's actually going to be a frag nade getting caught out, and yet again, second frag nade being wasted, caught by a Wamai disc, and Chris, not losing any health, is going to remain sitting on those stairs, the MP5 in his hands. Going to be his weapon of choice. We're actually seeing XD Guru and One Tap Heck in the basement.
I think that they're looking to go for a potential run out, but they sense that they are starting to get heavily pressured from the attackers as they have managed to catch on to their exact locations, and they will be forced to retreat back towards the first floor, and potentially even the top floor. But Chris with the opening frag and the Wamai disc timing, it's a bit too unfortunate as Rizoku is there to catch him out, and from afar towards the bottom of Spiral Staircase, he will land a couple of bullets onto Guru. But we find ourselves with less than 50 seconds left on the clock right now, and Enclave, they are definitely struggling to get something going for themselves. They have to put the pedal to the metal if they want to close this round off in their favor. But from the bottom of Yellow Staircase, One Tap, he has not yet been noticed. Shots will start to come out from Snubster, but they sadly won't bear any fruit on their side, and they have established a lot of positions for themselves on the west side as the repels start to come in. Toxic Base will be there to deny them as well. Rizoku will be picked up by the hands of Snubster. C4 will come out as well. Two more frags. Rizoku and Lucania grabbing for themselves each. And Moncrypt pushing in the connector as well, but from behind, the Fuser will start to go down as well. One tap on the top of the Yellow Staircase. XD Guru will go down. Snubster with one more. That's the refrag, but they haven't... The defuse plant was denied, and they weren't quick enough to recover it and get the plant going down again. And oh, that's unfortunate for Enclave because UX, they will now set the scoreline at 5-2.
Yeah, that we were talking about Enclave managing to drag themselves back into the driver's seat after a shaky couple of opening rounds, but this has just been complete domination from UX since that point. Enclave only collecting 2 rounds on the defense, and this just looks like UX are going to be able to run away with this.
Towards the dying seconds of that round, there was just so much happening all over the entire top floor, and it was just so difficult for me to keep up with it. Man, my brain is hitting at a bit of an overload point, to say the least, right now.
Well, there's still quite a bit more action left up in this one, and we have a whole other map coming after us, so make sure you get some water in you. It's been very hot recently, so make sure you stay hydrated. It will help with those brain juices.
Gotta keep the brain juices flowing.
Absolutely.
24/7.
Well, you got to sleep at some point. Maybe like 16, 7.
Yeah, math checks out.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with that. Yeah, 100% correctly. Yeah.
Sleep for 8 hours a day, you know.
Attackers are heading out to defuse.
In the immortal words of Dino 16/7. Who needs that 24/7 life anyway?
That is going in my Twitter
Oh!
Oh! That is going in a highlight reel. Access. One tapping, one tap. Whew. That was clean, and that's giving me the vigil off the board early.
This is actually something a tad bit more interesting that we see UX choose to employ this time around. They're going to be bringing out the alibi as well, and as we also noticed, they did send out one of those prismas on the meeting room balcony just to waste a tiny bit of time, but it also proves to be that kind of visual noise that is extremely annoying to deal with on the attacking side, because you constantly see that notification just blaring on your screen. You know, there's a guy outside, make sure to kill him or something like that. And the first time that I remember such a tactic being employed altogether was during the Invitationals when G2, it was specifically on a border map. They brought an alibi and they threw one of those prismas to an unreachable location on the roof of the building. And it was just constant visual noise for the defense squad, or for the attacking squad, excuse me.
It can be quite a powerful tactic when used correctly, but Enclave have been able to deal with it swiftly, and they're gonna swiftly remove XD Guru from the round. Rizuko collecting his 6th kill, holding the flank watch. Minute 30 still to go. And Enclave, they're trying to keep themselves in this game.
Thor, despite his best efforts, still hasn't got a single kill to his name, and UX, they will continue to hold the bathroom with an iron fist. Enclave, they are struggling to remove the alibi from her location. The drones will start to come in, but it doesn't necessarily seem like this will bear any fruit if they choose to go for an attack, apply pressure towards the bathroom side. But as I say that, they will start to breach that open, and they will apply pressure from both sides. Missed grenade, it will bounce back, but they'll have to push away in order to not take damage. Flash grenades as well as grenades will start to come out, and it'll be Chris to just drop down the hatch and assume the position of an anchor.
Very fortunately, he was able to drop and escape with his life. No one holding the anchor outside the breach onto the player dropping. So 3 versus 5, 35 seconds still to go. Rabinsu, I believe, still has C4, and Britannia should have their smoke still in hand. The first one gets used to deny the push on through, but it's going to be Rizuko using that sledgehammer, forcing the positions of these defenders more difficult to hold.
The exothermic charges, they did successfully go off, but they were rather late. And from the service staircases, Snubters to creep his way into the A site, but he's not checking his 6, and he'll actually be taken down by Ravinshu. And now, UX, they have managed to gain the favor, but we find ourselves in a 2v2 situation, and Access has just started getting the diffuser down. The push starts to come in, but he's unable to locate the diffuse planter, and from the yellow staircase, Rizoku will shut Lucania down, and Access from outside the garage panels, as soon as he got the diffuser down, he just gunned it back towards the white car and picked up a kill on the last remaining defender. What a beautiful execute from Enclave. My.
A beautiful execute, but it almost went entirely the other way.
Yeah,
they let the alibi get right up next to him going for the plan, and she was able to collect a double kill.
Yeah, it could have gone extremely south really quickly, but it was unfortunate for UX that, specifically the alibi that was pushing to deny the plant, that she checked her left side, because that's usually where you expect the default location, the default plant to go down is usually by the white van in front of it, not by the black car. And it was definitely smart of Enclave to capitalize on such a huge mistake. This is exactly what they need to start getting some momentum going back for themselves.
Still got 2 more rounds before they can tie up the score. We're going to see UX like to go back downstairs this time. It was a very swift take from Enclave, able to get that man advantage early on due to the spawn peak from 1 tap. Don't think we'll see them go for such a risky play again, and more likely they'll go for a passive time denial on the top floor using their gadget to slow the clear by Enclave.
One thing that I'm actually curious about is the fact that we haven't actually seen a Mute Mozzie combo being brought out until now. I feel like that could definitely prove to be a huge boon for the defensive side, because Consulate is a map that is heavily reliant on positioning as well as information. Naturally, this map really hasn't actually seen all that much change. It's been here to stay for 5 years since the release of Rainbow Six Siege altogether, so naturally you grow accustomed to common positions where defenders or attackers can be located. But I would want to finish off my note, but Access will open things up by removing XD Guru from play, and I believe that is the 2nd time in a row he's gone for that exact same spawn peak, and the 2nd time in a row that he's also bitten the dust.
XX collecting their 11th kill already. It's been a strong showing from them. Snubster 2nd on the team with, I think, 8 frags. Enclave can definitely gun when the time calls for it, but UX have been able to put together these more complete rounds, which is why we see the scoreline as it is. 5 rounds to UX and only 3 to Enclave.
Not all that much happening right now, but Enclave, they are doing their due diligence of grabbing as much real estate as possible, specifically the top floor. But I did notice at the corner of my eye that 1 tap, he was actually ready to go for a run out. Will be caught out as Access will start to Jackal track him as well with that Inox gadget, and he will be forced to retreat back towards the site. But at the same time, Enclave, they are still taking their sweet time with this execute and this overall attack strategy.
Making sure that they get all of their angles cleared. It's quite nice, the adjustment we've seen Chris switch on over from the alibi to the Wamai. Oh! Lucadia, what a shot!
Goodness. That was a nasty flick. That was a monstrous flick.
Yeah. I mean, going back to what I was saying, having the Wamai inside of the bathroom means that you're able to stay there a lot longer, as throughout the round you'll collect more discs to prevent people being able to clear you out. Enclave electing to ignore the bathroom position by going for a backside take.
Ooh.
But one tap, another beautiful shot, takes the head off of Rizuko. And now the take's starting to come through. Access gets a kill onto one tap, so it's still 3 versus 3. Thor gonna find his way on into security, collects his first kill of the game, taking the head off Ravidichu. The planter coming through, but Chris drops Access as he's through the backlines. 2 versus 2. Chris goes down, so effectively a 2 versus 1. Lucania, the smoke, still has the Toxic Babe in hand, but it doesn't even matter. The Snubster. Oh no, Thor gets the kill onto Lucania. Snubster got the kill onto Chris, who was downed. Just ignore the bathroom position. I mean, well played by Thor. Finally make his way onto the scoreboard. Some beautiful shots by UX in that round.
That was an overall really well thought out attacking round from Enclave, and at the same time it was extremely perplexing because they were taking such a passive approach towards their execute onto the basement site, and then in the blink of an eye they were already within arm's distance of the defenders, and they were able to just swat them down like flies, and they found themselves with the man advantage, and they didn't even have to go for an execute. They were able to isolate the smoke into a really disadvantageous position, and they were able to just deal with him so swiftly. That's not a attacking strategy that you see on a daily basis, but damn, they pulled it off really, really well, to say the least.
I mean, when it works, it works. And that time, it definitely worked. Enclave, 2 rounds in a row now, starting to make this look like it could be a comeback. As round number 10 gets underway, UX go back up to the top floor, which they were able to win so successfully previously.
5 seconds left.
So, let's see exactly what is happening on right now. We will once again see UX employ the dynamic duo that is Chris and OneTap on the Wamai and the Jaeger. Once again, this particular operator lineup has been paying dividends for them so far on their defensive strategies, because they are just forcing Enclave's hands to burn as much utility as possible. And last time around, when they were trying their absolute best to dislodge Chris from his position, we did actually notice the fact that his Wamai discs caught a lot of, not flashbangs, but they managed to also catch out a couple of frag grenades, which ended up saving his life altogether. And we can see that Enclave, they're looking to try their luck once again with removing him from his position. Rizoku will start cooking a frag grenade, but it sadly will be caught out once again, but this time they are also going to be using access on the Capitao. Those asphyxiating bolts, they will start to go out and aid them in their mission to dislodge Chris from his position, but he will live to fight another day. And as of right now, 1 full minute has been expended. Enclave, I keep on mixing them up. Enclave, they need to start giving this round some gas.
It's all well and good that you're able to force Chris out of his position, but you've got no one there to catch him as he runs through the doorway. Well, he's still going to be a 5 versus 5, and you've just wasted a whole lot of utility. He's going to be able to make you burn more in the future. See more Wamai just getting thrown out. The fight, Thor unable to win, but it's going to be Rizuko to trade it out immediately. Chris goes down, no more Wamai discs, but 4 versus 4 with a minute to go.
Now we can see that Rizuku, he will slowly start to ingress towards the bathroom, because there is little to no actual presence on the west side of the map. The majority of defenders there are located over by Connector as well as Long Death, but Encrypt will start to get the diffuser down and access. Brilliant cover, removing Lucania from play. Diffuser will start to go down, and XD Guru will injure himself in the process, leaving one Tep as well as Robin Shu in a 2v4 situation. They don't necessarily have the upper hand in this round. Enclave, brilliant post-plant positioning from them coming out right now, and they are not going to give UX any real estate. Robin Shu will take a couple of shots to the knee from Snubster bottom yellow side, leaving one Tep. The 1v4 situation, there is virtually nothing that he can do despite giving it his all.
Yeah, and this is a situation where his all isn't going to be enough for 4 players sitting perfectly. The time has run out. And that's going to be Enclave being able to tie this up now 5-5 as ACS secures the final kill. The upside down rappel working out wonderfully.
Enclave, they have managed to come back swinging into this matchup, and they will even the score line at 5-5. And regardless of what happens in this next round, somebody is going to end up on match point. We have 2 more rounds left to see, since once again there is no overtime present. So whoever grabs themselves this round 11, they have at least guaranteed themselves a tie.
Who do you see taking? How do you see this one playing out?
I'm not exactly sure. To just right off the bat, UX, they're gonna have a slight shift in defensive philosophy, because they are going to be visiting the lobby and press room for the first time around. I honestly have no idea how this round can play out, because we haven't seen UX visit the first floor site at all up until right now. But I feel like Enclave, they are heavily favored right now because they have momentum on their side. They are riding that siege high that is just perfect for mowing down your opponents in any given situation.
Yeah, Enclave definitely seem to have their attacks down pat on this map, and UX, this might almost be a desperation pick, just going for that middle site, because, well, you've lost the top floor quite confidently, and you've lost the bottom floor quite confidently, so you might as well just throw them a different look and see if you're going to be able to slow down this tide that is being thrust upon you by Enclave.
That is not the way you want to start things off. 12 seconds into the round, and Chris, he will bite the dust. Enclave. Man, that is a brilliant start for themselves right now, and they have managed to grab themselves much more breathing room and overall time to deal with the last 4 remaining defenders on the side of UX. They have 1 less body to deal with, 1 less C4 to deal with. I'm pretty sure that Robin Shu actually may or may not have a C4 in hand, but nevertheless, removing that Valkyrie, who does usually serve as a roamer, is going to definitely prove to be a boon in the favor of Enclave.
Lucania trying to use these smoke canisters to force Enclave to his demise, finally. Gets Enclave to move, access to move out of his position, and, well, will remove the cast off the play, but Thor follows it up swiftly with a double kill. Drops 1 Tep and Lucania. So now it's a 2 versus 4, all left up to Rubinshu and XD Guru to attempt to hold out and win this round for UX to stop Enclave from hitting match point. At the moment, that doesn't look very likely.
Despite the fact that Thor hasn't been at his peak performance up until now, he has been getting a lot of impact frags right up until now, and that right there, that double kill, it basically just secures his team this round number 11. But UX, despite finding themselves with the man disadvantage, they have 70 seconds left to burn right now. And when you're on the attacker side, you can basically look at it like, oh, I've got all the time in the world. And especially since you are on attacking the lobby and press room, that is a lot of ground for the defensive side to cover. And it's gonna be a chore for Robin Shu and XD Guru to do it all by themselves.
Yeah, Rubinshu downstairs, going to attempt to throw a C4 through that hatch in the little cubby. He does chuck it out, but Mana Grip is going to be able to escape with his life. So it's a long rotation for Rubinshu to get back up. XD Guru, the player closest, but it's going to be Thor to collect him 3 kills in the round now.
Attackers activating the
And
diffuser.
Rabinchu, a 1
Attackers need
versus
to protect
4,
the diffuser.
not going to
Position
work out.
compromised.
Rizuko gets that kill, and Enclave win round number 11 to get themselves a match point.
This is practically everything I'd hoped to see in terms of like from an
Access to move out of this
entertaining
position.
standpoint. I always love it when matches go the
Play,
full
but Thor
distance,
follows it up.
and this time it will as well. Enclave, they've definitely managed to guarantee themselves a
Enclave
draw,
to his
but
demise,
I kid you
finally.
not, that is not what
Gets
they are
Enclave to
hoping
move
for
out
this time
Access,
around.
but
They
Access-
want to go the distance and end things off with a 7-5 scoreline, because up until now they have definitely proved that they deserve the W for themselves.
Yeah, and Access sitting on 14 kills, dragging his team up to this point. Snubster has shown up with 10 as well, but the other 2 players in Rizuko and Manacrypt sort of just getting by, doing their thing. The big impact player in that round, though, as you mentioned, was Thor being able to collect 3 kills. I mean, if you show up when you're needed,
Defenders, protect your bombs
can you
from
really
being
blame him?
defused by attackers.
No, you can't. You can't at all. Impact frags are usually what matters the most in a game like Siege, and that particular play was extremely huge because he managed to single-handedly deal
Attackers
with
have located a bomb.
practically the entire top floor presence that UX was throwing at them. He barely had to lift them.
Seconds remaining. 5 seconds to insertion. Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
Changing mags.
Air jab deployed.
Hostiles in sight.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Changing mags. Perimeter set. Serious drywall work coming up. Launching drone.
Seconds remaining. 10 seconds to go. 5 seconds left. Attackers are active. bomb diffuser.
Got the lock on
Test.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this matchup going on between UX and Enclave. My name is Daniel, and I'm joined by two doors. We just saw them battle it out on Constant, where Enclave were able to mount a 5-round comeback to secure it. Now we're going to move on over to Enclave's pick of Villa. How do you think this match is going to go?
Like we speculated a tiny bit before map number 1 started, Villa has always been known as a highly defender-sided map. Usually, I'd like to just bring up the argument that it's heavily reliant on the operator bans that come out, and Thatcher will be the first to be removed from play. Nothing too out of the ordinary to start things off, but I'm curious to see if we'll actually see a hard breacher potentially be removed. Usually, you'd want to remove Thermite or Hibana from play as well, but instead it's going to be the Jackal, which is rather perplexing, but nevertheless, Jackal can be utilized very, very well on Villa. It is a map that, despite the fact that the basement is an underutilized part of the map, it's still you should always expect that there can be somebody just roaming around, creeping very, very slowly around the map. They could potentially catch you off surprise. So UX, they're going to be able to utilize that heavy roam to their liking if they choose to do so.
Yeah. It was Enclave to be the ones to bring the Jackal in the previous matchup, so interesting that we'll see them ban it out here, but I mean, Jackal is known to be one of the more annoying attackers to deal with that is brought on a regular occasion, so getting rid of him is sure to alleviate some frustration from both teams. And that Thatcher ban, very standard. It's going to put more reliance on a Maverick or an IQ play. See ACS picking up that IQ, so they're going to be the one with most of the work to do. The Valkyrie, the Legion, the Ela, all gadgets that are primarily caught out by IQ, and in fact that Pulse as well, going to make their job a little bit more important.
I think last time around in the first map, we saw that Pulse was just outright banned right off the bat, and it's definitely going to be a nice change of pace to actually see him be brought out in play, and he will definitely play a huge part because we are going to be visiting the dining room and kitchen to kick things off in round number 1. And I strongly believe that he will be one of the most impactful operators because he can sit very comfortably inside of that basement with that heartbeat scanner manned. And he can just relay information to his teammates in real time as we speak. And he can do so extremely safely from the comfort of the basement.
By attackers.
With the C4 in his hand as well, that can net you a couple kills, deny a plant, or win a
Attackers are heading
round.
out to defuse a bomb.
Just relies on you being a skilled pulse player and not getting yourself caught out. Enclave, with that IQ, will have the ability to find that pulse and should be able to eliminate him quickly if they are aware of his positioning. But for the time being, they're not going to be headed over into Pulse's line of sight just yet. They are going to go for a southwest style take, coming in, entering into the library initially, not going for that top floor control just yet.
The kitchen and dining site is a rather tricky one to usually defend, and when you're starting off on the attacking side, you always want to grab yourself as much real estate as possible, specifically on that top floor inside of the statuary room as well as the master bedroom. However, it is a tad bit perplexing because Enclave, they are going to opt for a heavy horizontal take by the looks of it so far. They are debating as to how they should actually make their way inside of the memorial room to kick things off.
Yeah, looks like Thor gonna try and get aggressive to start off with, and it's gonna work out for him. Collecting the opening kill, gonna take out that Valkyrie who was sitting on her cams. Well, she's gonna be stuck on her cams for the rest of the round now. She has been eliminated.
Thor definitely had a lot of trouble in the previous match to kick things off accordingly, but he doesn't seem to be struggling thus far. He will fulfill his role as the entry anti-fragger by removing Valkyrie from play. And as ACS has made his way inside of the bicycle room, now, ooh, this is unfortunate for Guru because he will be caught out and Panic C4 will come out as well, but he's kind of caught in dire straits and he will be caught out by ACS, leaving us in a 3v3 situation as Enclave have gained control of the dining room. And from the opposite side of the room, it'll be one tap to shut him down. Monocrip. I sometimes have trouble pronouncing that name. He will be there to respond by removing Lucania from play, and the diffuser will also start to go down.
Attackers activating diffuser.
2 versus 2. Rubinshu on so low HP, but when the one tap's hitting shots like that, it's going to be Thor, the first player to go
Defenders
down.
have eyes
Manacrypt
on the diffuser.
has to run
Attackers need to
away,
protect
and
it.
he's not in a great position to deny this post plant. The rotation round into the bicycle storage. He hears the disable coming through, but he's so far removed from the action. He sees the head of the player is going to take down Rubinshu. Now it's all left up to one tap. The Jaeger, 1 versus 1, needs to get aggressive. Runs outside. He sees Manacrypt, but Manacrypt's going to collect the kill and collect the very first round for the attackers on Villa. Enclave up 1-0.
Man, if Monocrip was playing any other operator who wasn't a 3-speed, he might have just been a tad bit too late to shut down that counter diffuse. He should count himself lucky that he was actually playing Hibana that time around. If he was playing a 2-speed, for example, it could have ended off much differently. Rubinshu was so very close, just a couple of milliseconds away from successfully closing off that counter diffuse.
Yeah, speed very much of the essence, and Manacrypt getting a 3k in the round. It all came down to his performance to secure it for them. But we're going to see UX go on over to that Aviator Games room, not electing to stick to dining. Generally, dining's brought out as a
Defenders, protect your
tertiary
bombs
site,
from being
but it's also
defused
brought
by
out
attackers.
first quite a lot of time to try and catch off your opponents and make them make some mistakes to give you a cheeky round early on. But that's not going to be the case for UX, and they're going to have to try and fight it out on Old Familiar, that top floor site.
This has been primarily the most favored defensive site ever since Villa was introduced in Operation Parabellum, and it has definitely seen a lot of meta shifts as the years have actually gone by, and it's always so refreshing to see that teams they don't necessarily consider the Aviator and Games Room to be the primary site as in the year 2020, so to speak. And the fact that UX they decided to visit the kitchen and dining site despite the fact that they were unsuccessful in closing it off in their favor just goes to show how far we've strayed from the original meta that was established with the Aviator and Games Room.
A strategy that I've seen a couple times from UX is actually to have Christ on the Ella sitting on this reinforced hatch with lots of shields, lots of Jaegers, and Wamai's close by to catch all of this utility, and it's such a difficult position to try and force him out of. Now, as Enclave are bringing a Hibana, they could, in theory, go below and actually pop the hatch, which is precisely what we're going to see happen. It's going to make Chris' position so much more difficult to hold as his rotation is being cut off by players, but he lands the shot onto Access. Barely even scopes in, but that's going to be the IQ gone already.
Wow. Despite Enclave's best efforts to dislodge Chris from his position, he will continue to battle on. And just like that, we find ourselves in a 5v4 situation. Enclave definitely not the best start that they could have hoped to see, but they will have to continue to push forward, and I believe that their primary focal point will be dislodging Chris, who does expose himself, manages to take one to the grave with him as well. And things could not shape better for UX than they currently are. Lucania with another one onto Snubster, and now Enclave in a 2v4 situation. Thor and Manicrip are the last two remaining players. They do have quite a lot of utility to get the job done, but they are running relatively low on time as well, as we have 70 seconds left, and one tap will shut down Thor, primary entry fragger, and from the classical hallway, it'll be XD Guru with that SMG-11 in hand to just outright stop the Hibana in her treads.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, it's a great strategy, and I enjoy seeing it every single time UX plays it, and it does just come down to how much utility are you able to burn to force Chris out of his positions. But when he's hitting shots like that, you really can't. There's a point where it's just, well, what can you realistically do? And in that round for Enclave, the answer is not a lot.
My mind was just kind of running off for a second, and I was starting to speculate a tiny bit. Imagine if UX Gaming decided to actually bring out a Kaid in that instance. That means that they would have been able to further hold
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
the Ella's position by electrifying the shield as well as the hatch, meaning that it can't be blown from the bottom side. But at the same time, you gotta ask yourself, is Kaid really worth bringing? Do you want to swap out a crucial operator to just further prevent the attackers from dislodging that Ella?
Yeah, that Ella's position. I guess it's more sort of, we'll leave you here to die, but you've got to waste as much time as possible. In that previous round, well, they were able to do that very successfully, wasting a lot of time, a lot of utility in Enclave, also losing the round. But
5 seconds to insertion.
as we see UX switch on over to this statutory side
Attackers
of
are
the
moving
map,
out to
it's going to
locate
be
a bomb
interesting to
and
see how Enclave mix their attack. Are they going to continue to push him from study? It's looking like that's going to be the case. They're going to try and get that complete top floor pressure and then aggress onto the side itself instead of just directly focusing on into Master Bedroom and Astro.
So the defensive squad of UX are spread relatively thin right now. Lucania, all on his lonesome, will be holding the short side, or excuse me, that's actually the long side of the 90 hallway. You can see that Enclave, they're going to be applying pressure from multiple different positions. They're looking to establish a crossfire onto Lucania. They have sent out a couple of drones to find his exact location, and momentarily the call will start to come in so they can ingress towards the standalone Jaeger.
Lucania not wanting to hang around too much, but it's going to be Snubs to actually go down first. Down and then finished off by one tap. Nomad gone. That's your roam denial or your flank denial eliminated early on. And that's going to make this push from Enclave so much more difficult. As securing their top floor, well, you've now got to worry about all the staircases instead of just the ones in front of you.
Attackers have located a
Potential
bomb.
avenues for the defenders to come up and surprise you from. Goyo, Rabinshu sitting behind this shield. A lot of utility being burned already by Thor. One stun, one impact gone. And there's still more wasted. Lucania, that one Nomad air jab that wasn't able to go down is going to get taken down. So he has the potential to flank on up, but those Claymore are going to be positioned to deny that just now.
Now the fact that it was Lucania to shoot out that initial air jab means that Enclave, they actually have one extra line of sight to worry about, and the grenade will force Rabinshu out of his position. Lucania with another frag, shutting down Thor, and Rizoku with the response, shutting down Lucania as well, but he will make it a double for himself by shutting down Chris. That is the dynamic duo of Jaeger and Wamai off the table, and we now find ourselves at an even playing field yet again. But there's only 40 seconds left for Enclave to get an execute going onto site, and they've decided to shift their focus towards the master bedroom side of things, which might be a tad bit too difficult for them to actually ingress towards the A site because of One Tap's current position.
25 seconds still to go. 3 versus 3. Access gonna get close up to this wall, aware of one player sitting close to the statue. The shots come through, but it's gonna be Rizuko's nade to finish off the kill.
15
Hibana
seconds
Holes
remaining.
making an entrance into the site itself. Rez on a quad kill as he takes down XD Guru. Will he be able to collect the ace, pushing on through the Valkyrie
5 seconds
inside of Astro at the rotation hole? Is going to deny the ace potential, but is now in a 1 versus 2 situation with the diffuser planted.
One Tap is in dire straits right now. The MPX is not necessarily the best weapon to get the job done despite its low damage, but it is got quite astounding accuracy altogether. The main thing that he has to worry about is removing access from play as quick as possible because he is on very low HP. All One Tap really needs to do is just tickle him a tiny bit and he will find himself in a 1v1 situation, but we only have 15 seconds left to actually get something done and out of this round, but it'll be Monocrypt to shut down any hopes that One Tap could have potentially mustered into clutching things out.
Yeah, and Enclave. 2 attacking rounds already on Villa. That is surprising, even when teams are, heavily disadvantaged in a matchup, going to Villa and being on defense, you should be able to collect probably about 3 rounds. But the way that Enclave are attacking with such confidence and force, I wouldn't be surprised if we see potentially a 4-2 split in favor of the attackers.
That's entirely possible. Yeah. Usually, the particular defensive strategy that we saw UX employ that time around was essentially forcing the attacker's hand to push them from the Aviator Games side of the building, or Aviator Games for short. You can just call it AVG. And the one main
Attackers
pivot
need to
point in that
locate and
entire
defuse as
round
many
was
bombs
when
as they
Enclave
can.
decided to shift their focus towards the master bedroom side of things, which was left not necessarily unnoticed and completely disregarded by UX, but there was a ton of free real estate that Enclave could just grasp extremely quickly. And because of the setup, they had a couple more lines of sight to actually work with than with a default, for example, I guess you could call it a ranked setup. But by the looks of it, UX are going to employ the exact same strategy in round number 4.
10 seconds left
But
before insertion.
moving into the dying seconds of this round, when the time
5 seconds
actually
to go.
comes, they will have to properly position themselves and keep an eye out for any
Attackers'
pushes
objective is
from
to
that
locate
master
a bomb
bedroom
and
side.
defuse it.
Yeah. There is an aspect, though, behind the mentality of UX going back to the same site after just losing it, is that, well, Bazooka got a 4K. He outplayed us in that round, but that's not necessarily indicative of our strategy being bad. It's just,
Yeah.
well, one player having an exceptional round, and you can't expect them to continue to do that time after time. Kania already getting into an early gunfight, dealing some damage onto Snubster, who has taken up the mantle that Thor held in the previous map of not having any kills thus far.
He will be forced outside of the library to just move his way back towards the living room / kitchen area of the map. And I guess that you can say that that's one defender already dealt with, as they have managed to dislodge them from the south side of the map. Although, Enclave, they've already expended a minute right now, and while they have managed to grab themselves a lot of free ground for the taking, they have yet to properly gather any further information on the defenders. That was close. That was a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, but fortunately Razuka doesn't take any damage, and they're going to start the old strategy of just how much utility do you need to burn to force this player out of their position. Rabinshu going to be the first line of defense against this immediate push. The frag nade being used gets caught by the Wamai disc, and the shield will remain in place, but Rabinshu will not, as he falls all the way deep inside of the site and actually close to Astro now. Kania activates and is thrown off by the Nomad charge, but is going to continue to hold his position. Snubster going to challenge with his gun and actually sets down a second Nomad air jab. Waiting for Kania to shoot it out, but takes the fight himself. Snubster not able to land the shots. Kania, he still wants to get aggressive on this.
I don't think that this is the right call from Lucania, because Enclave, they are 100% wary of his position right now, and as he pushes up the main staircase, he will grab their attention before rotating back towards the bottom of the red staircase. We find ourselves with about 35 seconds left in Enclave. They really need to put the pedal to the metal on this one. Despite the fact that they have burned a lot of utility, that's going to be Thor with the opening frag onto Robin. He'll make it a double as the Goyo shield sets off. Lucania with the response onto Rizuku. And now we find ourselves in a 3v3 situation as Access will actually be picked up despite being injured. 15 seconds left, and the shots will start to come out from the master bedroom side, leaving XD Guru on low HP. Thor with a triple kill, and he's looking to make it a quad as he injures one tap, and from the red staircase, it's Lucania with a response onto Snubster. He'll be left on very, very low HP at the same time. And I believe that Thor is looking to make this into an ace right now. And was that actually Thor to close things off? It was Manicrib instead. He'll deny his teammate the ace, but damn, that was one hell of an execute coming out from Enclave.
Yeah, and as you mentioned briefly on Consulate, hints of old vitality of waiting till the very last second, then exploding onto the site, overwhelming them with speed, aggression, and your own coordination. twice now we've seen players from Enclave pick up 4Ks just to have the ace denied, and
15 seconds to
well,
go.
it's working for them. I'm not going to say they should stop letting players just frag out.
Not at all, but UX, they are going to quickly realize that the trophy and statuary site is not an option because Enclave, they seem to be a couple of steps ahead of them whenever they choose, UX chooses to defend that site, and they'll have to opt for a slight rotation as they're going to visit AVG this time around. And it's a bit sad to see that they won't be utilizing that exact same Ellis strategy by placing her on the study hatch.
Yeah. It is, in my opinion, a kind of one and done, because as the attacker you then expect it, so you are more willing, more prepared, and generally more capable to use your utility to force them out of their position. So, although we might actually see
10
Chris
seconds remaining.
be switching on over to the mute and playing it. They've reinforced the hatch, put a mute jammer on it.
5 seconds
There is
remaining.
ADSs placed close by as well, so there is still potential.
Attackers are moving out to locate a
Yeah,
bomb and
as we can see right now, XD Guru still has one more shield in his pocket, so it's entirely possible that we will see a reminiscent form of that exact same strategy bring itself to fruition. For right now, it's going to be Chris holding down that particular hatch with the mute jammer directly under his bum, but he doesn't have any shields to actually provide visual cover for himself. And I believe Manicrip is going to be going for the exact same plan, but he'll be disappointed at the fact that that hatch is indeed jammed.
Yeah, and that's going to waste so much utility already. One set of Hibana pellets gone, and in fact that's going to be Thor gone as well. Lucania the Jaeger going to beat out the Ash, and also going to beat out the Nomad. Takes the head off of Snubster.
Usually I'm strongly against the suicide mission like this, when you're just sending one roamer off to waste as much time as possible, but damn, Lucania has been defying all expectations so far right now. Within 60 seconds, he managed to pick up 2 lives, and he only has taken about 50 HP worth of damage.
Yeah, and it's Thor who's been coming alive on this match, and Snubster who, while hasn't had the best day fragging on this map, did so well previously and is such an important operator. Pre-fire still coming through Lucania, continuously looking for the next gunfight. You can just sense the confidence coming off him.
I personally think that Lucania should just be put on a plane and set right home right now, because he has completely 100% fulfilled his role as a roamer. But look at that, Rezu is going to be there to respond onto one tap as he rotates towards the Astro Staircase. He'll shut down Lucania in the process as well, putting an end to his reign of terror. And Rizuku's now on a double kill, and just like that, Enclave, they have gained control of the north side of the building altogether. The X-Powers Palace will be purposed in creating a small little crouch hole for them to work their way inside of the vault. Frag Grenade will dispose of that shield on the 90 hallway. That is no longer a position that UX can contest.
Yeah, forced back into the site is XD Guru. Chris still inside of study. He has the pistol as opposed to the SMG-11. Perhaps flexing the black ice, but that's not going to help you out in this gunfight. His best weapon at the moment is actually that shotgun, which isn't good for the range that these players will be coming in from. Rabinshu have to take up the primary point of engagement, preventing the run on in, but Manicrip successfully gets in. The C4 comes through and denies the plan of Manicrip access, immediately taking up the mantle, holding the diffuser, but walks straight on into the shotgun of Chris, and XD Guru picks up Rizuko in that long 90 hallway, and that's going to be a nice round for UX.
I was about to say that the mute should reposition himself so he could do much more proper work with that shotgun in hand, but you know what? Doesn't even matter. Go ahead and prove me wrong. He absolutely dismantled that execute by denying the defuse plant as well as shutting down access towards the end of the round. And UX, they are slowly but surely fighting their way back into this matchup. We are going to move on to round number 6, which is going to be the final round in the first half. And UX, they're going to end things exactly where they began, by visiting the dining room and kitchen once again and opting to bring out
Defenders, protect
Pulse.
your bombs from being defused by
Now,
attackers.
last time we saw this site, it did come down to a 1 versus 1 with Manacrypt wanting that out. In fact, it was a 1 versus 2. Manacrypt versus Ravinshu on Jaeger and another player. And they were successful in securing it, but I don't think we'll see quite the same strategy coming through from Enclave. That rush in through the library might just be a one and done methodology. Well, it's likely to get caught out if they elect to go for it again.
The last time around, we didn't necessarily see Enclave exert all too much pressure from the top floor, and I believe that UX, they are going to do their absolute best to prep themselves for anything that Enclave might throw their direction. It's going to be rather interesting to see exactly how Enclave are going to handle this particular attack this time around.
The Pulse of XD Guru and the Valk of Christ are going to be sitting inside the site. They're the anchors for the time being. Lucania, who's been playing well on basically whatever operator he's been on, has been put back onto the smoke. One Tep taking the role of the Jaeger inside of Study, just trying to go for that solo roam. And has worked out well for UX on multiple occasions. Catching Enclave's roam.
I personally feel that Lucania has been doing God's work on that Jaeger so far, and at the same time, I feel like UX have very little reason to shift his role so drastically just like that. But we are going to witness exactly what you were talking about. Enclave, they're going to opt to go for a direct push through the living room side, and they will establish themselves a beachhead directly outside of the memorial room, but we have yet to see any proper gunfights take place.
Lucania may be doing God's work, but perhaps it isn't God's plan. As Chris is going to get downed but not out. I believe that was shots coming in through from the window. He will get revived up to 20 points of health. So C4 will remain in the round, but so detrimental in the next gunfight he's involved in. Drones coming through, the C4 gets ripped. The access his push on in is slowed, but C4 wasn't thrown out, so we'll be able to take that control if he so chooses.
Enclave are definitely taking their sweet time right now, and I have no doubt about the fact that we will once again see an extremely explosive play come out for them altogether. But as of right now, XD Guru is going to utilize that heartbeat sensor to the best of his abilities to figure out exactly where Enclave are located and potentially what they have in stock for us. But this is interesting to note that One Tep is currently sitting on the middle of Red Staircase, and he's hoping that somebody might just cross his line of sight. As of right now, he will slowly creep his way down the Red Staircase, unaware of exactly where the attackers are located. And it seems like Enclave have actually managed to catch on to him, but he'll get the opening frag, shutting down Thor. C4 will start to come out to deny the X-Kairos pellets that are being detonated on the laundry side of things. Snubster shutting down XD Guru. That is also the Pulse and a C4 gone. Manacrypt, another refrag onto
15
Chris.
seconds to go.
Now, 3 versus 4, all these holes being opened up, going to force the players of UX into difficult positions, but the plan is only just starting to go down. The timing might actually work against them. Lucania gets the kill onto Snubster, Rizuko onto Manacrypt, and oh no, Manacrypt does get the plant down right before time expires, before he's finished off by Lucania. Rizuko and Access now 2 versus 2 against Rabinshu and Lucania. Rizuko with the first headshot, he's aware of where the second player is, but isn't able to land the shots. The smoke with the SMG-11 works out just in time, and this is so smart from Access. When you get onto the defuse, your character, as you can see there, pulls out the gadget, and that is 10,000 IQ play being brought out by Access right there.
The one thing that had me scared towards the start of that execute was the fact that the Hibana was planting in a corner, and I was really unsure if Lucania was able to establish a proper angle onto the diffuse plant. As you can see right now in the replays, he does manage to pick up one onto, I believe that was the Nomad, onto Snubster, but it was rather difficult for him. He manages to narrowly catch out the shoulder and not deny the plant, but basically pick up the kill. That's what kind of had me tad bit worrisome in that round, but nevertheless, Enclave, they will move into the second half with a perfect 4-2 split. They now have plenty of room to potentially make any mistakes, but nevertheless, they want to end this round or this entire matchup out with an even more dominant scoreline than the Consulate matchup.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
Uh,
bombs.
there is always the potential, though, that for whatever reason in this matchup, I've seen it happen before on Villa, the attack just works out better.
Yeah.
And it's nothing to do with the map or the strategies, it's just the way that the teams play. In the actual gunfights, the attack just
Bomb
wins
located by
sometimes.
attackers.
And
Ready to activate.
Enclave are going to be cautious of that. They've more than likely experienced that happen to them. So they're not going to take their foot off the gas and keep going at this full pelt.
So we are going to be
10
visiting
seconds left.
AVG this time around. Nothing all too
5 seconds remaining.
no oddities necessarily coming out on the operator
Attacker's
lineups,
objective
except
is
we
to
are
defuse
going
a
to
bomb.
see the dynamic duo of the Mute and the Mozzie being brought out, and I feel like UX are going to be heavily reliant on gathering as much info as possible on their opponents, and Enclave, they're just looking to outright deny that ability.
US coming in through this master bedroom side of things. More dated approach. A lot of teams have adjusted to just pushing on in through study and getting that 90 control in recent times, but still effective if you're able to make it work. Snubska playing on the Mozzie hasn't been having the best day, but he's done a good job previously of being able to show up when needed. He's actually been able to collect the drones, so that's a lot of information for his team, but they have already given up this entire north side of the map. Master bedroom, statue, trophy, all in favor of UX now.
Despite the fact that they have lost control of the northern side of the map, Enclave, they did do a great job of wasting roughly a minute of their opponent's time. Now UX, they practically all find themselves on the north side of the map, meaning that they will either have to fully commit to a push coming from the statuary and trophy side of things, or they might have to shift their focus a tiny bit and send a couple of men or a couple of people towards the south side.
Attackers
But
have located a
Thor
bomb.
will start to get heavily pressured and he'll be forced into the corner of 90 as the Vulcan shield will be disposed of him. And he chooses to continue to contest that long-range angle and Snubster from down below. I believe he still might have a C4 in hand, which he could chuck out at any given moment. This is absolutely perfect. He knows exactly where the Ash is located. The C4 will start to come out. It's a tad bit too far, but ooh. Sadly, it won't bear any fruit, but Chris will be left on just a sliver of HP.
Mizuko's pre-placed C4 was caught out by the IQ of XD Guru, who is strangely rocking the AUG, as opposed to either the GAA1 or the 552 Commander, both seen as superior weapons. But hey, if you can make it work, you can make it work. And well, they've only got 45 seconds to make it work now. UX at the doors of the site, but still no control. A 5 versus 5, and they need to try and get that diffuser down.
This is going to be an absolute bloodbath because UX, they are forced into a fatal funnel, that one and only doorway towards the vault side of things, as well as applying pressure from the 90 hallway. 20 seconds left on the clock, and we have yet to see any kind of explosion come out, but Chris will make his way inside of the B site. Lucania grabs one of the Snubster before Chris manages to shut down Mana Crypt. Trade will come out from 4, and the diffuser will start to go down, but it's Access from below. 2 more frags coming out from Lucania, and it's Access, last man alive. In a 1v3 situation, the diffuser has yet to actually start to go down. One tap will make sure that that is definitely on a roll, and from the top red stairs, he'll start to pressure Lucania, but he's unable to actually land the headshot, and Access will be left on very, very low HP. With 35 seconds left to clutch this out, he has very little to work with and not enough time.
Yeah, only that Vector really in his hands now, and not even that. Lucania with the pistol finishes it off. UX winning their first attacking round. Oh, let's do the drone hole as well.
Ooh,
Just
that's
shooting out the end.
dirty. That was dirty.
Yeah, but see what I mean? The attack, while heavily disadvantaged, just somehow was able to make it work when it came into that last second aggression. this match is far from over just because Enclave are defending with the round advantage.
It's entirely true. And unfortunately for Enclave, AVG is not going to work out as they had initially hoped, so they're going to have to swap things around and move over to the trophy and statuary side of things. I believe that it's entirely possible that they will employ a reminiscent strategy of what UX have been doing
Attackers
up
need to
until right
locate and
now.
defuse bombs.
Basically, overextending themselves a tad bit in towards the master bedroom side of things and essentially forcing their opponent's hand and forcing them to attack solely from the south side.
We're seeing a similar strategy by Enclave, whereby they open up one of those triple walls and have a little bit of extension into the master bedroom. It appears that Thor is setting up for someone to hold inside of that walk-in closet
10
for an
seconds to
extended
go.
period of time. ADS is in place. More likely we'll see Snubster take
5 seconds
that.
left.
He can hold it for longer due to the nature of his
Attackers
utility.
are moving out to locate a
And
bomb and defuse it.
that has been an area that a lot of teams struggle to deal with just by the nature of where it's located. You can't really open up any angles onto where they're sitting. You just have to jump on through and hope for the best.
Usually, high risk, high reward strategies like that are extremely difficult to pull off, but nevertheless, they do pay huge dividends if you know, let's just say that the Rainbow Six game in general is working in your favor. Sometimes you have sometimes you just have off days where you're able to get absolutely nothing accomplished. Some days you're just on an absolute roll, just as Enclave have been on so far. But UX, they're going to opt to go for a southern push right now as they are establishing themselves a beachhead, looking to gather as much information as onto any defenders who are located inside. They will manage to find Thor out, and he will be challenged by Chris, leaving himself on a slither of HP before being shut down by Guru with that AUG that he also caught onto last round. Now UX Gaming, they have the man advantage. They have full control of the southern side of the map, and things can only start to go up from now.
Well, up for which team, depending upon your perspective, could go either way. But a lot of utility used to just establish that southern side of the map, and they still need to aggress on over into the site itself. Manacrypt's position doesn't look like he'll even be contested for the time being, as Snubster's the one changing shots back and forth onto the players on the landing. All 5 members from UX over, landing in 90 position. The drones checking out the sites to see what they can see and where the defenders are positioned, but it's going to be access downstairs. We've seen how frequently Enclave have tried to use this strategy. C4s from below, and it's worked out for them before. Rizuko with the double kill, the UMP working out the triple kill as Snubster chimes in with an org of his own to take down Lucania. Now it's all left up to Rabinshu on a 1 versus 4.
That was an absolutely ginormous, massive, huge play coming out from Rizuku, managing to injure the Ash to kick things off before grabbing himself a kill onto the IQ, and from across the, I guess you could say, the gap in the middle between the 2 sites, it was Snubster to aid him in his conquest, and just like that, Rizuku, he will basically just put himself up to a total of, well, I'm pretty sure he's already hit double digits by now, and so 15 seconds left. Rabinshu in a very disadvantageous position, and he'll start to receive a couple of shots from the study side of things, but it'll be access to seal the deal as he runs out of the master bedroom window to swiftly pick up that kill and shut him down. Enclave, they will take, I believe that was round number 8.
Yeah, and that puts him up 5-3. Just having a replay look at that triple kill from Rizuko. We all know those famous words that Canadian once said about his opinions of the UMP, but sometimes some players are just able to make it work. And as he said, yeah, Rizuko already on 12 kills. Lucania also on 12 of his own, but the rest of his team not stepping up and those frags not counting as much as they are 2 rounds down.
Rizuku did exactly what Twitch chat usually always tells us during Pro League matches. just
Attackers
click on
need
their
to locate and
heads.
defuse the
Just click on their
bomb
heads
if
and
they
you'll be
can.
fine. And that's exactly what Rizuku did. He practically ran out of ammo despite the fact that there are 25 bullets in that mag. He was able to remove 3 players from the playing field altogether with such a small magazine and arguably one of the weakest guns in the game. Man, that is one hell of an individual performance.
Yeah, I always tell people who want to get into Siege that Siege is a really easy game to play. It is just a point-and-click adventure simulator.
10
That's all you need
seconds
to do,
left before
point and
insertion.
click. And, yep. Rizuko shows us just
5
how
seconds left.
easy it can be at times. Oh, I'm gonna have to wonder if he can
Attackers
pull it off
objective
again,
is to
as
locate a
Enclave
bomb
have
and
moved
defuse
on
it.
over to the Aviator Games side. Yet again, they did lose it out last time. ACS wasn't able to pull off the 1 versus 3. Oh, we'll have to see if they're able to make adjustments this time around.
I believe that we are going to see UX employ a similar strategy by taking control of the northern side of the playing field altogether. The last time around, it didn't necessarily work all too well for them because I believe... Or, no, that was on the first half, but... Never mind, before I digress any further, it's going to be Snubster to pick up the opening frag onto XD Guru. They no longer have that electronic scanner at their disposal, which will make hunting down any form of gadgets on the defensive side that much more difficult.
Yeah, Snubster, he's had a bit of a quiet game so far, but that's definitely an important kill. XD Guru has been playing so well and such an important operator in that IQ. To be eliminated within the first minute is definitely going to have its impact felt throughout the rest of the round. Snubster also rotating through the basement, might be in a position to go for a flank, catch someone off later on.
Bomb
For the
located
time
by
being, this
attackers.
this push by UX is struggling to find ground.
They have completely shifted their focus towards the southern side of the map, and they will go for a study take and potentially even
Attackers have located a
exerting
bomb.
some presence on the main lobby, because there are a couple of lurkers on the first floor in general, and if they aren't aware of their surroundings, people like Thor, they could definitely bite them in the bum. But as we see right now, UX have found their way inside of the B site. It'll be Rizuku to try to cover from behind the bars. C4 comes out and will actually injure Robin Shoe. The diffuser is stuck behind the vault door. 1-tap with the response. Rizuku grabbing himself a double kill, leaving his team Enclave in a 4v2 situation. And now UX, they once again find themselves on the back foot. They have some ground to work with, but they will have a very steep hill to climb if they are looking to win out this round. Access will shut down 1-tap as well. And now Lucania, the man of the hour, 12 frags to his name. He is stuck in a corner.
Yeah, stuck in a corner, timed on the side, diffusing on his hands, but a headshot!
Oh my god!
2 headshots as he takes down Rizuko and Snubster. The diffuser collected. Still time to play with as he baits out the plant. Shots coming through, and he's still going to keep his life for the time being. You hear the sound of that C4 getting ripped. Not getting thrown out just yet. Trying to play these angles, see if he can work another kill before he tries for the plant once
10
more.
seconds to go.
But he's going to be forced to stick it this time around. Pre-firing back and forth, the C4 getting thrown on out by the Goyo of Access, going to secure it. A good attempt to win it out, but Enclave, just too many bodies left alive. And that's going to put them on a match point.
That was an absolutely wondrous two-piece that Lucania managed to grab for himself. My word. Despite the fact that Enclave were so properly positioned, they had him pinched to the inch. He basically had no room to wiggle with, and he still managed to cook something up that was just as entertaining as you could imagine. It was just so unfortunate for him that Enclave decided to take a step back, take a couple of deep breaths, and realize that they had all the cards in their favor.
Yeah. Rizuko, I felt, was a little unnecessarily aggressive in that situation. Definitely need to expose himself. Just had to wait out the time, but can you really blame him? How often do you see players hit those kinds of shots?
I'd like to say once in the blue moon. I mean, okay, fine, you get to see a lot of nasty shots being hit, but not consecutively, just like we witnessed.
Yeah, I mean, every time I die in ranks, it seems like someone's hit just some insane god tier flick, but well, a little bit more rare to see those kinds of shots in competitive matchups.
10 seconds
We are going to see
insertion.
Enclave now, after winning out both Statue Trophy and Aviator Games,
seconds
go
remaining.
downstairs to that dining kitchen room. See if they're going to be
Attackers
successful in
objective to
holding
locate a
it,
bomb and
or at
defuse
least
it.
more successful than UX were.
They are looking to close off this match right here and right now. They are on match point with a score line of 6-3, and they are looking to also close up this matchup with a final score line of 2-0. They don't want to give UX a single inch to work with for them to potentially bring this matchup back to a draw. And UX, they are on the back foot, but I don't believe that it'll let them discourage their overall gameplay altogether as they work their way in towards AVG, as they have taken control of the initial beachhead on the southern side of the map.
Yeah, it's a lot of ground for them to try to cover, but they've made a good job of it already. Getting aggressive in the 90 hallway, going to force Thor downstairs into library. We saw him play so often on the attacking rounds, but it's
Attackers
still
have
a
located
lot
a bomb.
of ground that needs to be covered for UX to attempt to get on the site, and that's going to be made so much more difficult as Snubster, the Pulse, gets the C4 kill
Bomb has
onto
been
Chris.
located.
Zofia down, utility gone, and man advantage in favor of Enclave.
So we are coming up rather close to the halfway mark of the round. They do find themselves yet again on the back foot after losing out on Zofia. But they definitely have a steep hill to climb if they want any chance of tying this matchup together in a nice little bow. As of right now, we do find ourselves in a stalemate right now. UX contemplating exactly how they should go about this attacking strategy, but time goes by really quickly. We find ourselves with 70 seconds left, and UX, they haven't necessarily got all that much going for them despite having control of the top floor.
Top floor control on this side, I feel, can be quite deceptive. There are a lot of angles that can be held with relative safety inside of the site that can't be peeked upon by players on the top floor. The C4s as well that we've seen from Enclave. One was effective, one missed slightly, only doing a little bit of damage onto one tap. We do still have other C4s to go in Manacrypt's hand. It's just going to be so difficult when UX tries to go for this push. Again, the banana pellets being used, but with only 30 seconds left on the clock, it's just going to be yet another crazy rush to the finish.
You just heard the last Nitro Cell from Manacrypt has been expended. They no longer have any C4s at their disposal, but at the same time, UX, they have lost yet another body as they try to make their way in through the laundry side of things. They do find themselves on the back foot, and an immediate rush starts to come out, but just like that, it'll be Enclave quick to respond, and they will promptly shut down UX altogether, and they will take this map with the final score line of 7-3. Beautiful play from them altogether to complement their earlier comeback, taking the entire matchup home with a score line of 2-0.
Yeah, and that was just impressive play. You can definitely see why Enclave picked Villa in that situation. Zuko finishing it off with 15 frags to his name. But in all, just a great performance that we saw from the whole of Enclave. UX did a lot of things right throughout that entire matchup, but for whatever reason, they were just unable to fight against the might of Enclave.
My money is specifically on the momentum that Enclave managed to bring in from that comeback. They were riding one of the biggest waves that they could have hoped to, and they just practically dominated their opponents UX through and through this entire map number 2.
Yeah, well, that is going to be all from us here today. It's been ACS week number 7. We still have 2 more weeks to go before we get on into the playoff stages. We don't have the standings updated for you yet, as Audacity left the league recently during the week, so we are in the process of adjusting all of those scores. But if you want to stay up to date on all news coming through from the Atlas Championship Series, make sure to follow us over at ACS_invite on Twitter. We post clips from games, scores and standings, and we'll keep you informed as best as we can. But for now, that is going to be all from us. Make sure you tune in next week for week number 8, and we're sure to have a lot more action to come. Thank you.